Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrooter.com with your morning horn of Z's, your cup of coffee. Today we're going to talk about silver. Why silver? Because it is a screaming buy. With the financial markets about to implode, Steve Mnuchin's doing everything he can with his little computer mouse to keep the price of silver down. As you can see, this is the 3-day chart. That's what happened 3 days ago, right there, bang. It's sad what they have to do to keep the price of silver down, but it's been going on forever. We've talked about all this. Think about investing. When you think about investing in anything, what do you want to do? You want to buy low and sell high if you're a trader, or buy low if you're a long-term holder, long-term investor. So this chart, if you look at the last, let's go 10 years, you're looking clearly we're nearing the low or at a low. I don't think we'll ever breach the $15 mark for any significant amount of time. But just think about the downside potential, how much silver can go down from here versus the upside potential, which is unlimited. Ted Butler used to say dimes to the downside, dollars to the upside. I would say a few dollars to the downside and thousands of dollars to the upside. Nobody really knows the current fair market value of silver, the current price. This is COMEX number, the commodity exchange that it trades futures and derivatives. And everybody said, well, you know, the physical market is in London. And if you listen to Ted Butler's latest brilliant comment, the LBMA announced that they only have 1 billion ounces in silver inventories. And yet they trade over 130 billion ounces every year. So massive leverage, derivative leverage. And of that 1 billion ounces, or somewhere around half of it is ETF silver. And also, how many of those 1 billion ounces are actually for sale at this cheap price? Not much of it. So I think silver is the call right now to be loading up on. Not as a monetary instrument. Nobody can explain in the gold and silver world, which I'll throw this out as a challenge to people. How do you explain how to go back to a gold and silver standard using gold and silver as money in a technological world? You would have to do some contortions, and it's not necessary. Yes, money will be necessary, but it's much easier to use the soundness of the cryptocurrencies. And it might sound a little strange if you've never been involved with the cryptocurrencies, but they are little truth machines. The blockchain technology is unbelievable in forcing truth. And actually, it's a truthless system, meaning a trustless system, meaning you have to trust anybody. It's all math. And as long as 2 + 2 = 4, you can trust the blockchain. Although some people won't come around ever. But I would like to throw this challenge out, not really a challenge, to anybody in the gold and silver world who can explain to me, if the unbacked fiat monetary system ends because the banks crash and the derivative nightmare explodes, how in the world could we ever go to a gold and silver standard? It would have to be some derivative standard with paper dollars and electronic claims on gold and silver, and we'll have to teach the entire 7 billion people on planet Earth how that works and why gold and silver are so important, and they'll be so scarce and in the hands of only a few people. Do we really want those people controlling the monetary system? I would say no. So I don't see us going back to a gold and silver standard. Potentially, gold may have some kind of a role, but there's also the problem of massive amounts of gold out there that nobody knows about. If you read Gold Warriors by Peggy and Sterling Seagrave, you'll understand that's just the tip of the iceberg of the amount of secret gold that is traded behind the scenes. Hundreds of thousands of ounces of hundreds of thousands of tons of gold. And that's just what the Seagraves uncovered. I have uncovered more, along with other people. Chocolate Mountain Gold, which is a huge gold mine in a military base in California. Grand Canyon Gold, I've talked about a lot. They announced on the front page of the New York Times billions and billions and billions of ounces. in the Grand Canyon, and now it is cordoned off, and you can't go there. You're not allowed to go that part of the Grand Canyon because it would have destroyed the minuscule monetary gold back in the early 1900s. So a plan was hatched, and they created the Federal Reserve to control the system, and that's what's been going on for the last 100 years. That was the reason Woodrow Wilson allowed the banksters to take control of the monetary system. You go to roadtoroota.com for that, but if you want to look a little bit deeper, you can look at the 30-year silver price. Look at that. That is just pain and suffering by silver investors. Then they got them all excited. This is JP Morgan bringing the price up from $20 to $50 and then slamming it back down. I have shown how that works over at roadtoroota.com, why they did it, how they did it. It was Bill Daley, President Obama's right-hand man, his chief of staff, that was put there for 1 year during the 2011 silver price smash. And that was the only reason. And if you go to roadtoroota.com, there's an article right down here called JP Morgan Operation Silver Slam. It tells you exactly how it was done, who did it, and why they did it. Let's just click on it really quick. This is what, by the way, this is the Road to Roota website, roadtoroota.com, and you can subscribe right here on the left and get free updates via email and a free book, so you can't beat that. But if you go to this article, Operation Silver Slam, I wrote it right after silver price went up to 50 and got slammed. I warned everybody in January when JP Morgan placed Bill Daley as the chief of staff to Obama that there was a big silver operation going to happen, and it happened. So I got that one right. Because I've seen it before by JP Morgan. They did the same thing with natural gas. The Federal Reserve gave them the ability to trade in natural gas a few months before, because natural gas was getting out of control at $15. And then they put JP Morgan, gave them ability to trade it, and they did the exact same thing. They brought it up a little bit, and then they slammed it further and further and got it under control. And I go through that, and then there's Bill Murphy, our friend, testifying in front of the CFTC about all the whistleblowers. I think it was Andrew Maguire. He talked about on that one. And there is Jamie Dimon's SWAT team. Money Magazine called these guys the JP Morgan SWAT team. The guy right there, right in the middle, the head of the SWAT team is a guy named Bill Daley. Yes, of the Daley, the criminal Chicago Daily crime family. But he was put in charge of the silver drive-by shooting in 2011. He was placed as Obama's chief of staff. In January of 2011, they literally drove the price up. I'll show you a graph down here. Right here is when they placed Bill Daley as the chief of staff, and a direct line up until the May 1st drive-by shooting, and then they slammed the price of silver down, artificially creating a silver bear market. And we have to live through that to today. But you can go through that, and it goes through a lot of the mechanics of how the manipulation works and why they did it. But also, for silver, if you're worried or scared at all, most people aren't. Most people have done their homework and know that silver's manipulated. And at some point, it will make a move. But if not, go to your silver pacifier article right here. And it goes through, this is in times of fear with silver. When they slam silver, here's 3 questions that I'd pose to you. And question number 1, is the silver market rigged? The answer is yes. Every day in every trade, the silver market is controlled and has been for at least 40 years. Nobody knows the true fair market value of silver anymore, so all prices for silver are currently irrelevant. Nobody, should silver be $600, $700, $800 an ounce? I say yeah, at a minimum. But are they? No. They're completely controlled. Question number 2, how's it done? The silver market rigging is accomplished by running computer market trading programs to steer the price of silver up and down, flushing out weak hands on the price slams, and covering short positions that were previously put in place to cap the price of the rising price of silver. These silver trades have little to do with physical silver, but everything to do with the paper derivatives of silver. There's no floor or limit to where the controllers can place the price of silver. Some people argued to me once that, well, there is a floor because the floor is zero. And my response was, okay, does that stop the ability for the U.S. government to sell another billion ounces of silver just because the price is zero? It would go negative. Yeah, you couldn't load up, but these derivative markets are not based in reality. They're based in the ether of a system that is completely criminally corrupt. So yeah, you'd say, oh, I just go buy silver, and they'd pay me for buying it. Well, theoretically, if you can get your hands on physical silver, that would work. But as we've seen, when they drive the price of silver so low, you can't get physical. So it's a theoretical thing. Do I think they're going to drive it to zero? No, I actually think they're going to drive it to thousands of dollars per ounce, or not even necessarily drive it there, but let the market trade freely. And hopefully something like Veritasium can come in and make these markets honest. And we'll see. That's part of the plan for the smooth transition, but I'm highly doubtful that the transition is going to be very smooth. Now, why are they doing it? To save the unbacked fiat monetary system. Unless you control the prices of all commodities, especially the monetary metals, an unbacked paper or electronic monetary system will fail in rapid fashion. As such, when the U.S. went off the gold standard in the early 1970s, Alan Greenspan wrote and implemented the original computer market rigging models to prolong the acceptance of unbacked fiat money. That's why they put him as the head of the Fed. This was the implementation of the 1960s economic theory called On the Road to the Golden Age by Bertil Nasland, which dealt with Nobel Prize winner E. Phelps' golden rule theory of equal capital accumulation. The ultimate conclusion of this theory was to print as much unbacked fiat currency as possible for as long as possible to reap all the rewards before returning to the discipline of a gold standard. That's what Ruta wrote in the sand. Ruta is a comic book character from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. In the sand, she was writing in the original Road to Ruta comic book published in 1981. She was writing asset allocation formulas in the sand. Ruta is Alan Greenspan, and that's what Alan Greenspan did. Those who don't know, Alan Greenspan was one of the first computer experts in the world. In the 1960s, he was a computer expert. Absolutely the most powerful computer programmer in the world in the 1960s. He's the guy who screwed up the Y2K problem. Read Alan Greenspan's book. He's the one who did it. Him and a couple other people that were working with him, which I outline who they are at the Road to Ruta. So there is a secret plot going on behind the scenes. The plan now is to destroy the system, to hit that point where you've printed too much money, and that's exactly what's going on. And then question 4 that I added later is, when will it end? There's the $100 trillion question, which actually has a very reasonable answer. The market rigging will end when the benefits of printing unbacked fiat money no longer outweigh the costs. The United States has hit that point as the bad guy banksters who abuse the system and have practically taken control of the country are in the process of transferring all that virtual wealth into their own pockets. Of course, in the end, they are the fools for believing in their own flawed monetary system where paper and electronic blips equal real wealth. The first attempt to end the game was thwarted by the banksters in 2008, but don't despair. The next attempt at crashing the system is right around the corner, and we have made sure that they will not escape this time. So those are the 4 big questions and answers on, it's the pacifier, it's the silver pacifier. I bring this out every time that there is a silver slam or silver is massively destroyed, the sentiment is destroyed. And I would like to point out this part where I say our own flawed monetary system where paper and electronic blips equals real wealth. Well, this was originally written before the blockchain was invented in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. I would qualify that now, and I would say electronic blips that are not anybody's debt can be very valuable and will be very valuable. Those that are debt, somebody's IOU, the reliance on a third party, will not be valuable. So, yes, the world changes. I changed with it, and thank God I did, because the cryptos are literally can help smooth out that process from a corrupt system to something more honest, something based on truth and honesty. And when you can't rely on humans anymore, you can rely on math. And that's exactly what the blockchain is. It's a trust machine based on math. Anyway, that's your morning update for, was it August 7th? Should be a lot of excitement this week and next week. The cryptos are running. They will not stop until probably, Cliff has them, Bitcoin going up over $6,000 in the coming months, and then another pullback, and then a run to 13,000 come February. And I absolutely believe it too. He's been spot on with his calls on the price of Bitcoin. And these companies that are being built, Populous is on fire right now. If you don't have any cryptos, you want to get Veritasium and you want to get Populous, because they're solid business models going forward, and that's what people will be looking for. Truth and honesty. They inject truth and honesty into corrupt systems, and that's real exciting. Anyway, again, go to roadtoruta.com, sign up in the upper left right there with your name and email, and you'll be on the road to Ruta and get free email blasts almost daily. This is Bix Weir. We'll talk to you later.